All right, welcome back. We got Coach Nimphius back for a great part two. We'll kind of dive right into it. We're going to really cover the option game and kind of the evolution from and within the run and shoot offense. And actually, the run and shoot offense, I think a lot of it evolved from the option and some of the stuff that Paul Johnson was doing, and then with those double wings, and then expanding them out, and kind of each thing takes from each other. So we're gonna have Coach really break down some things. We do have some stuff fired up already, ready to go. Let's see. Let's get this here.
Well, I think
I'll let you set it up, Coach.
Yeah, I think your setup is this. I guess a lot of people saw your last thing with me, and they asked, could you do something with the option? And I said, yeah, I could do that, but I think we got to go through, the concept of football, the evolution and de-evolution of what happens in football. And I think when you got into the run and shoot, when people really started getting into the run and shoot, which is really the late 70s, we were coming out of the wishbone era. I mean, people were either a wishbone team, a split back veer team. Later you would see Syracuse really going to the freeze out of the eye, and obviously belly option out of the wing T. So people had option principles in their offense forever, and forever. And and then of course it really became mainstream with Emily Billard and Emory Billard and Texas under Darrell Broyle, and then obviously Oklahoma. But the academies were running; it was being run everywhere. I mean, the option was everywhere. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was growing up in that era, which as a kid that was playing on the perimeter, you didn't get the ball very much. So that's really where it was a hangover from the 70s. I really think that was what happened. And it was a lot of underneath. But old habits die hard in football. You know that. So guys are like, well, we're going to go 4 wide, but we're still going to stay with the option. And the game went from being in a phone booth to really being a game that was kind of on the Great Plains. And it became apparent that you could probably run the option a little easier with the spread out formations because the box became a little bit more accessible and understandable for a quarterback. Certainly with, something like inside option. So that's kind of where I think things came to. Now, as far as Coach Paul Johnson goes, he had a tremendous amount of success as the OC at was the OC or the head? No, he's the OC under Eric Russell at Georgia Southern in 85 and 86. He had some really good teams, especially 86 with Tracy Ham as the quarterback. Remember, they were what they called the ham bone.
Yep.
And after that, he landed out there in Hawaii, and I think he really got to expand. Now, again, as you guys probably know, it's a lot easier to be a revolutionary or take some risks when you're at places where nobody cares.
Correct.
So when you're out in the middle of Hawaii or at Georgia Southern, then you can take those risks. And anybody who starts a company or organization, if you ever want to know how to do it, just watch how Georgia Southern implemented football. They did everything from the giddy up.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought for you guys it would be helpful for everybody was I'd take people through, and it's not knowing everything, but hey, how has it looked at our place? And I'm talking about Riverdale because we were running this stuff at Glen Rock back in the midnight. We were running the option at Glen Rock all the time with
Grant Adams.
Well, Grant Adams was probably about on the list. And I love Grant. He was probably on the list of running the option about 20th. All right. Yeah. We just had guys that were, and again, one thing that people will have to understand about the option is your best option quarterbacks are not necessarily your best athletes. All right.
Correct.
They're just not. They're the kids that can really read it. All right. So I have some film on that too. But if you go to the portion we have, I guess I tagged it for this meeting because we change terms all the time. It's called Oscar. You can see us underneath outside veer in 2014 in the stadium against Sparta, and even go through why we did that against them. But that's a really good sample. So we're actually in a wishbone here, and we have a kid playing quarterback, Dylan Conley, and we had to give everybody a a look here, but the fullback's 165 pounds. Charlie, he's coaching at Wayne Valley now with Roger. He was a free safety at Salve Regina, and he'd been a fullback, middle linebacker for us, pretty typical. One of the Lanza brothers, both the Lanza brothers are in the backfield. Maddie's Maddie's the left halfback, and the right halfback is Alec, and Maddie's a senior and Alec's a sophomore. But we're in a 2 tight end set, and Sparta's in an even front, so we know we're going to get a 6-2 look, and we're going to do something to the outside linebacker he's not used to. We're going to make him the dive read. He's used to being a pitch read, or
you're just in the bone here.
We're in the bone here, and we're just down.
This is outside veer.
This is outside veer. And actually, the fullback there is Andrew Tamino, who we made a fullback. That's his senior year. Yeah, his senior year. He's the kid that threw the shot 59 feet now. So that's true. No, Charlie's the fullback, but Andrew was a fullback as well. But yeah, there we go. So we're just running outside veer. So there's a whole bunch of clips on it. You can see it, and
yeah,
you'll see different things on it. Again, we're in the bone here, and just running outside veer. And it's so. What's the purpose of that in this film? Every offense has reads. Every offense has line calls, and we're just giving a different presentation here. And you can see our quarterback's pretty good. His head's down the line of scrimmage. Number 4 is the dive read. He used to be in a quarterback or a pitch read. So
you're reading the far end man on the line, right?
Yes, we are. And the pitch is actually the corner.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Right. Because
there's nobody out there.
No.
Yeah, so I was just gonna.
So oddly, as you look at the Division III playoffs now, 2 out of the 8 teams in Division III playoffs are triple option teams. So
yes, sir. Springfield just upset Cortland, right?
They beat them up.
Yeah, I loved it because I got to watch. I watched it. It was great. Snow game, all that kind of craziness.
So you're double team. You're double teaming.
We're down.
What is the center doing? Yeah, I know it's. Is the center down, or is he on
everybody's down away from the call.
Everybody, okay. And then you climb. If there's nobody that shows in your down gap, you climb to the next level, which is what your tight end is doing.
You are responsible for that gap. That's it.
Yep. That's it.
Easiest thing in the world to teach.
Yep.
Now again, you go to the next film because you're going to see. I think there's like 13 plays 13 times we ran against them. I don't know if we got many less than 5 or 6 yards against them. And we lost the game, of course. But
now, had you shown this earlier in the year, Coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They should have been prepared to see this. And
I don't know if they saw 2. I don't know if they saw 2 tight ends.
Got it.
I mean, they start bare fronting us, but bare front's easy to block. I mean, we got pretty good. We were pretty good up front. I mean, we're washing guys down pretty easily. You watch 7.
Yeah, you're moving.
Yeah, we move people out. We're pretty good. I mean,
you're collapsing. You're collapsing this entire thing.
And 2 tight ends in this is very effective. I remember playing Hawthorne with Sarah was running all that, and when they were coming down on Steeple Harness at middle linebacker, he was very, very frustrated because he was trying to get over the top, and there was just the angle. He was not able to get over top. We widen him, and then they would run underneath him. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So it's very effective. Now, stepwise for your quarterback, is it 1, 2, 3?
Down the line. He is running down the line of scrimmage.
Running down the line. There's no steps. He's running down and then to a spot or.
Well, the path, we never want to interrupt the path of the dive back. So the dive back's path is crack at a tackle.
Got it.
And even here, we're a wide split team. We will narrow the splits down here.
Got it.
Because it's too far. Right. But if you go get another clip, like I said, there's guys keeping it, guys pitching it. And we do a little bit.
Yeah, let me go to the next each clip here.
And he goes outside the read, but he's pretty dynamic. So.
Yeah, Connolly was a very good athlete. That's the brother of the one when I was there.
Yeah, Maddie.
Yeah. What did he go to Lafayette or something or no?
Lehigh. He played a couple years. Yeah.
Okay.
But the checks are easy. He can get out of this.
So here
check.
you are in the here you
Now you
are
got
in
wings.
spread. Yeah, double wing. Spread. Did you find it harder or easier to run in any particular set?
What play?
This same play. So, like, do you like it in wishbone versus being in spread?
These kids we were completely married to this offense. So the formation didn't matter. Like,
it was irrelevant.
It was totally irrelevant. And we're so good at it. I mean, again, Dylan's a left-hander pitching to his right. I mean, he could do that in his sleep. He could probably go out there and do it now at whatever, 26 years old.
That was always the thing.
Did you think there was better timing with one versus the other? As far as like pitch and stuff like that?
Well, again, I mean, I don't want to spend forever on this. It's just kind of it's your appetite. But there's a lot more insertion of slots. I think the big thing is, with the kids going in motion, you can activate the defense. So guys are doing a lot more things there, and guys are cheating slots in. Mendham does a great job of that. You see the academies do it so that they don't need to have any motion at all. It's just the ball snapping. It's a sprint. So
you ran it at a crooked bone too. Interesting.
We ran it at every set you can imagine, but like I said, a broken bone there.
Now, Coach, do you rep this? Like when you go into practice this week, knowing you're going to use this, you have a specific like set within practice, like, hey, we're going with this play?
I think it gets into the same thing you would do in any offense. You run your offense in practice. I mean, a formation is a formation. Timing is timing. You got to rep it. You got to have pods, whatever side of the ball you're on, doesn't matter. So you just, again, it's. I think for us, it was easier for us, just like teams that run the wing tee. You can pod your whole practice, and you're really
100%.
And really, the biggest thing is I think you do that. People do that defensively all the time. Like, okay, we're gonna run trap drill. All right, we're gonna run inside zone. So you got to get the reps on it. The thing that we've all found out, which I think guys in the gun were late to the fight on this, was you just need inside drill.
Mm-hmm.
You need more inside drill, especially for your defensive players. And
what else was my favorite too was I call it I think. I don't know if you did it, but I know Dunn did it. Tandem runs.
Oh, we're the tandem run, and Joe got that from us. But tandem runs, they make sense. I mean, again, Brian's a basketball coach. He's always breaking parts down the front side of his zone beater, the back side. That's why he's such a good coach. But yeah, so that's so my point is, as we start this, that's option, all right? Because all we're talking about in an option is the fact that, again, it's a numbers game. We're going to probably option real active players. We're probably not going to option inactive players. And I've said it many times. I've said it on podcasts with you. We block those we can, and we read those we can, and vice versa. That's it. And the gun allows you to do it on the next level, and that's where your RPOs come in. And
which one do you want me to go to next here?
I would go to 2-ball option drill because guys can see that as being a worthwhile venture.
Okay.
It says 2-ball on there.
Yep.
All right.
All right, let me get out of that.
And this gives you some rhythm to your practice too. And you can do it in almost anything that you're doing. So I gave you some practice tape too. And I wanted to make sure it wasn't all, in fact, I don't think I have very much Zion game stuff here because I didn't want to seem like I was promoting the kid. He kind of gets embarrassed by that. So, and we have a whole bunch of other kids in it. I want to make sure you saw that. Because, guys, when people are watching this, it can't be clinic speak, right? Oh, well, you had this really good kid. That's why you did it. But I'm going to show you probably 6 quarterbacks doing stuff today.
All right. Clicked on that one. It's not coming in for some reason.
What, the 2-ball?
The 2-ball is not. Let's see. Try this again. We should click. I'm going to put the link directly. No,
just get. Well, then go to outside zone. We come back to it. You click on any of them, David. It's going to be fine. So I can work through
it. All right. Outside zone. Yep.
Outside zone. So that doesn't make a sudden progression. All right. But it's a way of, it's probably with us, it's probably quite a bit of inverted veer. Is that shown?
No, it's not showing. Maybe I don't have access to it for some reason.
It should.
Yeah, it's not showing. Let me. Here. Hold on. Let's see. Go back here. Um,
Can you refresh?
yeah, I'm gonna search.
All right. So kind of as you go
Yeah.
through it,
Okay. To
yeah.
Rich to Wonder. Title. Let's see. I'm gonna put the title in there. See if I can get that pulls it up.
Like I said, if you want to make me the host, we can do that and bang that right out.
Yeah, because it's not.
And I'll
I might not have the access to it because I'm pulling up. Is it there? Mitch, midline pitch. So see 2-ball option. Here we go.
Right.
I did a search. I don't know if it's zip, but let's share it here and let's go to that. Okay. All right. Here we go. Is that it right there?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Did a search. I learned something today, Coach.
That may or may not be the 2-ball option drill, but yeah, there it is. It's a different one, but I can talk you through it.
Okay.
All right. So angle's not great. All we're doing is we're adding another player in there. We want everybody to be active on it. This is from the previous year. Here you go. It's 2-ball option drill. You can see it right there. It's different quarterbacks, so that's even better. All right. We're doing this out of the gun. Boom. Got a ride. Get a pitch. It's our pregame warm up, to be honest.
Nice.
We don't hide anything with it. So
it's I first saw this drill. I got a film on the coach from John Curtis.
Right.
That he was showing the 2-ball option drill.
It's our ladder drill too. You can see us on the perimeter. Yeah. We're getting on bodies.
Yep. So you're doing the blocking element too.
Well, yeah, and we'll have the quarterback beat it back too, and they end up running route because we don't want anybody standing around. It drives me out of my mind. I want active drill. I want a lot of participation.
We used to do this drill all the time at Saddlebrook.
Yeah, we're not, and again, not every kid's great at it. Some kids aren't so good. Balls behind kids, but you can see what the 2-ball option drill looks like.
Well, it gets you the reps over and over again.
Reps in the rhythm. In the rhythm. All right, so that's 2-ball option. All right. Again, you look at outside zone, inside zone. I got all kinds of things in there I sent to you. I hope you can get them.
Yep, I know what to do now. So
yeah, it's gonna send you to some other stuff. I mean, nobody watches more film than we do. Not than me. I get practice film from every day of the season. I watch 150 clips a day. So it's the only way I can evaluate players. I mean, I really don't watch a lot of game film, to be honest. I watch us.
Right.
I'll coach us. I don't worry about the opponent too much. I'm being blatantly honest with that. At this point, it's just kind of where I've kind of gone with this. Not enough evaluation of your players. So
did you evolve into that, Coach?
I just think it's common sense. I mean, I don't know what that guy's doing in another place. He may come out in something different. We got to be efficient at what we do. You want
to go the OZ drill?
Sure. Again, I can coach through anything you have on there because.
There we go. Make sure it's okay. Here we go.
That's not us. That's not us.
That's not you guys. That I can tell that guy's not your guys.
No, it's not us. I mean, that's why going by keywords is not going to help you here.
Yeah, it's no because I click on it, doesn't.
Can you make me the host? And we'll start this whole thing again. We'll bang it out.
Yes, I could add your email to it and make you the host. Let's see if I can do that.
Because you don't want this sputtering like this in front of people.
Okay, host right now. Do that.
And maybe we shouldn't rely on the film as much and just have conversation.
Well, you could talk it through. Because because I think look the biggest thing like what I found was really helpful, especially with the option, was the 2-ball drill you guys do the The tandem period was huge because you get so many reps, especially like for guys out of gun. We would do the inside zone. I mean, yeah, we do inside zone. We would do the pitch off of it. We could add all kinds of different things to it. We would do the bubble screen with it. You know what I mean? So the zone of the bubble screen, and it would give what's the email that you want me to use?
Coach.Nimphius, that's lowercase, at riverdale.org.
Okay, it's going to send you a quick invite, Coach. Just accept that invite, and then once you accept that invite, it should make you you should have the present button on the bottom of your screen.
And you just sent it to my email. I got you.
There you go. But yeah, that was always what the greatest thing about those.
Do I have a login code here?
Did it send you a login code? It's just pen. I think you just have to accept.
No, I need a login code.
A login code?
Yeah.
A login.
Just send it to me.
Just send you what?
I got the code now.
Okay, yeah. It's all automated. I don't do it. I wish I once I click the button, it's in their due time.
Okay. All right, I'm in.
Now it says present on the bottom, right?
Enter studio, Coach Nimphius, enter studio. I got it. So that puts me in, and I'm ready to run this. Then all I got to do is enter studio. I'm in there. Tell my kids it's a physics major, right? Tell me.
There's two of you.
No, I'm two.
Then we got you right out.
Hey, buddy.
All right, there you go.
Okay. All right. So as I go through this, I can present. All right.
Yeah, use the share screen. Yeah.
So I go slides, PDFs, video file. Probably a video file, right?
If you are you going to your huddle or do you? The easiest is to share screen. It'll go to your tab. If you have huddle up on one of your tabs, then you can just share screen and go to a tab. It'll show you. And
where does it say share screen? Hi chat, exit full screen, settings, present.
Yeah, go to present, Coach.
Got it. Yep. Share screen. All right, let's get rolling. All right, guys, you ready to go?
Oh,
whenever you are
ready.
Okay, here we go. All right, so, and I'll share that screen in a second. Violate this kid's civil rights. All right. Okay, I'm going to go through all this, give you the whole shebang. Tell me if I'm on the screen. Tell me if I am sharing screen yet.
Nope.
Bing, bang, boom. All right, hold on.
It'll show a little.
Yeah, I just got to see where I find what you sent me. Schedule meeting, start a meeting, test, collapse. All right.
Like I do share screen, a tab. Like it should be one of
your
your tabs.
There's a lot going on here right now.
Oh, you have a lot. You have a lot of.
Yeah, this is a lot going on here right now. That's all I'm saying. So I'm trying to figure out where you went, where my meeting with you went, and I think I got that. Okay, I got you there. I'm in share. Share screen. Here we go. Okay, share.
There it is.
All right, here we go.
We're in business.
So let's get rolling here. So we're going into again. You're gonna have to edit some of this, obviously, but
we do. We edit. Don't worry.
So now we go into the modern game, and we've shown you the foundation with the triple option, and now we're in the shotgun. And nothing we're doing here is revolutionary. But what we're displaying here is how we run outside zone, which for us in this case is inverted veer. So as you look at your screen, looking where the quarterback is, and if you look to his right, because now I have control, you can see my pointer, right?
Yeah.
That's the quarterback right. Instead of having we're in an empty set and we have a kid coming in motion. Okay. And like any other option, whether you're running RPO, you're running base option, we have to have a player that we're going to cut loose. In this case, we decide we're going to cut loose to 5, which is right here. Right. So similar to what you saw originally. Did you cut him loose? Trying to see who. We're just running base give, and he's reading the backside. Excuse me. He's reading the backside. So he's reading the backside away from the outside zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've cut him loose. All right. So his eyes are there. All right. And what we're teaching our quarterback here is because the read is on the backside, he does not drag the ride. Whereas inverted veer, he'd be dragging the ride towards the read. So he is able to see the read here. He's playing that from the midline backside. That's his thinking. Okay. Now, David, and something you referenced, we were talking, you say, well, they're going to have one more. Well, this is where you get into your modern game of running your base
RPO.
mesh, curl, bubble, or just bubble out here, double slant. All right. So, dive player, pitch player, right?
Right.
That's all it is. It's as easy. It's that easy to teach. The question guys always ask me is, what am I telling our guy?
Yeah.
My answer is that depends. Who is this guy?
Exactly.
All right. Cloudy clear is still the truth. All right. This kid can't possibly gang up on the ride. He's going to give. And we get good numbers out there. Give you another look. Next concept. All right. So now you're playing with, a little bit more of a cloudy look. All right. Now this is interesting because it hasn't really changed. All right. Watch the quarterback. And there's a good chance that quarterback, are you with me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a good chance to watch quarterback. Just watch the tackle. Tackle's down, right? So we're going to run inverted veer. There's a good chance this cat who's playing quarterback is a running back. Every one of them can do this. Some think they do it much better than others, if you know what I'm saying, with the running backs. All right. So he's running inverted veer. 32 becomes the read or the edge player. Give it a quarterback, gets cloudy, right? He pitches it. So we're still running triple. You want to see it again?
Yeah, I do.
Quarterback's reading cloudy clear here. He's given. He gets. They're in gap duplicity here, so they're all screwed up. Pitching.
Now, do you run that as a power read play where you're?
We can. We run power read and we run just as old school inverted veer.
Yeah.
We can pull a guard. We can pull a tight end. We can pull a center.
What do you like? Do you like power read better where more guys are wrapping around, or do you like it where he just
defenses aren't dumb. Defenses aren't dumb.
Right.
So, you pull one, they're inserting two.
Right.
So, but for me, what I'm seeing more and more is guys pulling backside tight end.
Right.
All right. So, we run this out a whole bunch of formations. So, do I like to pull with a guard? Depends if our guys pull well, and that's where we're buttering our bread. Is that our investment? It was not the investment with this team.
Got it.
That's all. We had to make some choices.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just made some choices. All right. The next thing I'll show you is I may have to I'm gonna have to share the screen again. Is my screen the same?
As long as if you just click in that tab where you want to go, you should be fine. You don't have to move anything.
Do you have a new screen from what we just showed?
No.
Right
Okay,
now?
Yep. We'll take care of that right now. Piece of cake. Okay. Stop sharing. Stop screen. Okay. And we want to go to, where's the share on this? Where is the share on this? Studio note settings, present. Here we go. Share screen.
By the way, I love watching you maneuver technology. It's phenomenal.
I'm pretty good.
You're pretty
You
good.
know why? Because you was honestly, if you were a teacher in the classroom, they'd run these whatever, essentially clinics, workshops. Whereas
professional development days.
Yeah, where if you had a chance to take Sinai, you would immediately. All right.
Yes.
But they teach you nothing. Yeah, because how's this going to work? I need to play for a while, right? So here's our deal. All right. So we're running inside zone. And we're just running stuff what we call retrace, right? Different presentation, using our motions. All right. There you go. Same look. You don't care about that, nor would I, but you would care about this. Because am I telling you the truth? And I think I am. All right. So when we put film together, your practice film in isolation has to lead to your at least your tandem or your pods, and then it's got to be shown in game film. So here we go. Now we're just in two back. So we're not retracing, we're in two back. Just reading the back side. Now they may be in an attach call and maybe reading the linebacker. Second level, right? His eyes are to his read. There's your read. He hits the seam. It's not a good block here. Quarterback's detaching. We're still playing football on the perimeter.
Do you change anything blocking wise in order to make him read somebody different?
Yeah. The kids come back and say, 33 is an animal. I'm like, well, then who would like to stay away from 33? And they're like, all of us. So we read him.
Yeah.
That's essentially what we do. We will do things. We will read different guys either on the line of scrimmage or on the second level in the run game. Now this is more of a run game clinic. All right.
Right.
Because I'm not spending the time on the RPOs and
Right,
that's the story. Everybody knows that. I think guys want to see, hey, how can you run the ball in the gun and run the triple option out of it, which I think guys don't want to invest in. But sooner or later, guys are going to figure out everybody's running the same thing.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have to be a little different. You're going to have to be a little different because otherwise you're just trying to, like, those parts don't fit for us guys. Like, I would love to have a kid as tight end. We don't have that guy.
Right.
We don't have that guy. So, hence what we're doing. All right. Okay. That brings you through the next thing. Going back in here. And again, I'm slowly but surely getting better at this for you guys. All right. And we go to stop share. All right. And we go into up to you again. All right. We go to present and we share the screen. All right. There you go. All right. Now we're running counter option. You got the new screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let me get this thing set. Boom. Here we go. Okay, this is a really cool concept because I've always believed in the counter option or trap option, and from underneath, guys that have coached against us know that. All right, because midline and trap look the same in underneath triple option teams. So all we're doing here is we're going to run inside zone, and if it makes sense to you guys or anybody listening, it's same side back. So in other words, usually you're getting your inside zone going that way and he's getting the football.
Right.
Now it's him and the action's still going here, and he becomes a pitch man. If you want to put it in your simplest terms, we're running inside zone and exchanging the responsibilities of the backs.
Right.
The difference is the quarterback, if I did it the way I did it at Glen Rock, the presentation of the football would be right underneath the quarterback's nose, so he'd have a two-side read. He could see both sides. So he could present the ball here and see that side. Here it looks like true counter option, which is kind of the idea. And he's in two ball option. Now, this guy's the slowest guy in America, but he knows everything we're doing, and I can't kick him out of a drill because he wants to do stuff all the time. That's Deacon McGovern. He's a graduating senior.
Now, on counter option, are you you're down block, so you're going to the right here. You're down blocking everybody, okay, and you're just optioning that end.
It's going to be when we're running counter option, it's probably going to be pull pitch.
Right.
It's the look that we're trying to get.
Right. There's no give on that.
Well, no, we could, but we'd have to tag it. Like right now, again, if you notice, we don't have the same kids playing quarterback all the time.
No,
like this is RJ Weiss now. This is a sophomore, and this is a senior who didn't get a lot of reps. But again, we can do it. So we would be zoning that way. And
Paul.
And here's the easiest way to teach you guys. There's a zone side and a read side. That's it. Zone side, read side. Zone side, read side. How'd it go? There's a zone side where the scheme's going, and there's a read side away from the scheme. That's what we're teaching.
Aiming point for the quarterback on the pitch, coach?
Don't have one. We tell the back to outrun him.
Got it.
Make him run. And we don't pitch the ball backwards. We pitch the ball flat. I don't give up yardage. And I don't want to give up yardage because I don't want a 5 technique. You can play the pitch and play the quarterback. And when the pitch is flat, he can't.
That's a rarity, right, coach? Like that's not something that you hear people like kind of teach it when they're teaching option football on that pitch. At least for me personally, a lot of guys are always, hey, 3 yards behind, or make sure you're trailing that guy, separation, all those kind of things. Like rarely do you hear pitch lateral.
Well, I got it from Navy, a decade ago.
Yeah, Paul Johnson.
Actually, it was Coach Ken, and it was Mike Judge who was coaching there, who's a New Jersey guy.
Madison,
Chatham. After
Chatham.
Paul Johnson.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it's the same. It's the same tree, Dave.
Yeah.
But I would say to him, well, where are you pitching? He says, we tell him just to leave it there. Just put it out on the line of scrimmage, just leave it there, and let the kid go get it. And especially since it went, when they started doing RPOs. Right. Like I tell the kids, I'd rather you pitch it flat or forward because if it hits the ground, it's incomplete.
Correct.
All right. So, I mean, that's the beauty of the RPOs. It's not a fumble. And the RPO rules are, and I don't know if Joe Klaus spoke about this.
Right.
The RPO rules are this. It's really offensive pass interference. It's not illegal guy downfield because if you're not running RPOs based on the rules, you're a fool because it's only a 5-yard penalty.
Right, it's in your favor.
Yeah, it's not illegal man downfield. It's just it's illegal man downfield. It's 5-yard penalty. It's not lost down.
Right.
I mean, so why not do it? Just run downfield. Everybody go out for a pass. Maybe they'll see it. Can they call it every play? That's what I see stuff now. But really, what they're doing is they're picking a linebacker.
Yeah.
Right.
They're picking a linebacker. It's a pick. All right. So this is more fair. Unfortunately, we can't cut downfield, which I think is a horrendous rule, which is why, you want all the small guys to block big guys up top. I mean, they've never been able to show me the studies that show more guys are getting hurt.
Biggest transition, coach, as the defensive back going into college, and as a receiver, the ability to cut downfield was just an absolute game changer, especially being a safety. You're rolling down and all of a sudden that guy, he's high on and now he's going low. To shed and go and do all that stuff, to work that stuff. Biggest transition for me as a defensive player in college was the ability for a receiver or somebody to cut me downfield.
But you can't high-low in the box.
Right.
But you can high-low. But you can high-low a ball carrier.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay though, right?
I'll tell you, when we played
with the running start, by the way, with the running start.
We played home.
Well, it was always when we used to have to play, when we would play Regan at Morris Knowles, right? Like his guys would be engaged and have people coming from all over. And look, you can say that to the white hat pregame all you want. It's still what they're going to do.
But the defensive players can high-low a running back or a receiver anytime they want, right?
Anytime.
Oh, okay. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dave, you're right. When we played Homedale, right? Because Coach was from that tree,
which he was from the Regent Right tree, I think. So he used that like foot to foot, and he ran the split veer.
Yep.
And double team. He did a ton of double teaming, but a lot of high lowing because there's no way the referees could distinguish it because everybody was so tight. And it happened so fast. We couldn't. It was when they had the big linemen, when they had their big linemen.
They had like 2 or 3 guys that were like 300 pounds.
It was impossible. It was almost impossible to stop. You had to get a lead because if you got a lead, then they had to do something different. But if they got a lead, you the whole game you ran. I think we played them. We might have both teams combined ran 70 plays.
Well, we
were no huddle running like a power read with our quarterback. Forget it. It was just nullified. But he'd get frustrated if it got tackled for. And that's the beauty of the option because in the slow down split veer, the beauty of what they ran was we were more like power read and that kind of stuff and no huddle. But the beauty of what they did was they slowed the game down. And when you got a no huddle team like us, and if you got us in a 3 and out, those guys weren't back on the field till forever. I mean, literally.
Yeah. Well,
so they were out of rhythm. But they would come on the field and be frustrated. So
again, you're seeing some things now that are probably a tad bit different than what you used to see. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the game has changed. I mean. The game has changed. I don't know for the better, but that's kind of been what their decisions have been made. So let's just talk a little bit here. I mean, I have other stuff, but because David could certainly show the Bergenfield stuff off of his screen.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah.
I mean, I think you might want to show that. All right, you want to display that because I think when guys listen to a clinic, they want to call the coach on the baloney. And I'm willing to be called on the baloney, so I'm all right with that. So if you showed a Bergenfield film, that's from 2016. I think it shows you underneath and in the gun. So we do both. All right, and we can kind of get into the thinking of things too.
Now, Coach, when you were at Glen Rock, you were primarily under center or you were gun?
It changed. It evolved to the gun like everybody else.
Because I'm trying to think my senior year, which would have been 2003 season when Grammer got hurt. I believe you were under center a lot more.
Now, we were in the gun in 2003 after Robbie got hurt. But in 2002, when Hannon was the quarterback, we were both.
Right.
We really didn't become a pure gun team until 2003 when Robbie got hurt because we had to make a kid a quarterback. So the footwork was, the timing wasn't good. So, Dave, do you have that?
Yep, got it right here.
Yeah, perfect. And you pop it up. So, and you don't need me then in terms of I can just see your screen and I can work you through it. All right. So again, the idea here, correct. You just expand that screen and I'll go through it. So,
can you see it?
I can't see it right now. It's loading. Now I can see it.
I can see it. Okay.
Yeah, and just keep moving it because we don't want to hear this background noise of fans.
I already muted it. All right.
All right. So there's a few things here. The motion is atrocious. All right. I'm going to tell you what we teach on the motion too, Derek. All right. So go on back. All right. Here's the motion in the gun. All right. Stop it. Just freeze. Don't even move it. The motion in the gun should be one step and should be through the waist of the quarterback.
Okay.
Underneath in the triple, the motion in the back should be one step. I'm talking flex bone type, and through the waist of the fullback.
Right.
All right. So, because this bow back is, this motion's just awful. All right. Go ahead. And again, guys run an option by where his eyes are. All right. Was it a good read? Nope. We got better player. All right. Here we go now. We got a different fullback.
Yep.
All right. Next play. Just go to the next play. All right. And now we're just running basic midline.
You ran a ton of this at Glen Rock,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I remember that specifically.
And what's your quarterback's depth, coach? 4?
Well, here's how we taught it. Just pause it, David. Here's how I taught it. I took the quarterback underneath the center. Joe Klaus was on the field the day we did it. Just freeze it to the deadness. Just go to the set. Because I'm not worried about the end of the play. I mean, anybody who needs stuff who's watching this got that with throw anything you want. All right. But I put him underneath the center, and I was underneath the center. We brought out another history teacher who never played football before. And we said, we're going to put this thing in the gun. So this is back in like 9 or 10 or whatever it was. So what we did was, when I had Garrett Avitable, I went under quarterback, and I did the quarterback footwork for the midline. So I went pull, gather, and I dropped the ball. I said, the quarterback's going to be right there. And I took the back, and I put him back the depth of what the quarterback was to the where the quarterback was. Ball to quarterback to running back, equidistant. And what we've always taught is our running back underneath or in the gun, especially underneath, because it only happens once. When you're underneath, you run a triple. I tell the quarterback, now guys are moving them back now. They're like 4.5 in the triple because they run a lot more zone.
Yeah.
They run a lot more zone dive. And I always said, look, run a quarterback over in the midline. Run his butt right over, and then he'll get out of the way. It'll only happen once. It'll happen once. First day, he'll run you over, and you'll never not get out of the way again. So the idea here is I want the quarterback get off the midline, give up the track. All right? So right now, again, this is David, and he's not overly disciplined, but I'd probably put him at 4. I've never had a quarterback at 5.
Got it.
Ever. I have Zion at 3 sometimes. All right? I have Zion at 3 sometimes because we try to make as much of our offense from underneath in the gun.
When I was at Powell Park with the Silva, I had him heels at 4 in pistol.
Yeah, correct.
And the ball would be on them, and it was. I found it very difficult for a lot of teams, and it allowed you to run option, and then also allowed you to run eye stuff without being too far back. You know what I mean? Offset eye.
Well, you'll see it would be in the eye too, but in the gun. We've been in the wishbone in the gun. I've been in the inverted bone in the gun. It's formation. That's all it is. It's a different presentation. But I think one of the guys that if you're looking for really good film on it, you just got to go find it's old school stuff. It's called the ski gun. It's Muskegon High School in Michigan. And the coach there, Tony Anise, is the head coach now at Ferris State. And they've changed. They've evolved too. But they're the best power read team I've ever seen. But they started off with a 3-yard shotgun type thing. It's called the ski gun. It's fantastic. Right?
Coach, is your center exchange, is it a dead ball snap? Is it what type of shotgun snap is he getting?
We're a flip snap team
okay.
because I can teach anybody. All right. So, we just started off-season workouts on Monday. When they come in tomorrow, they'll be snapping basketballs. They snap something every day.
Because we legit my team this year. We had that was to say it was a problem is the least. The center to quarterback exchange out of pistol was beyond a bad snap here. This guy can't catch it. It was just such an issue that now I'm hyper focused on that exchange and just it shouldn't be an issue.
Well, I'll say this: you should be coaching your center as a totally different lineman. You shouldn't be working with the offensive lineman. It's a totally different position.
I agree.
All right. And if you want to mess with a center, go ask the center how it works when he's got a tilted one on his hand.
Hell yeah.
How's he supposed to defend himself? And how's he supposed to make the backside block? It's a really difficult thing. So I'll give you a couple things on that, Derek. First of all, I'd love to see the percentage of plays that are blown up in high school because of snaps that go to the right, to the left, which completely blow up the mesh and the timing. but everybody wants to be suave and be in the gun. You're going to have a lot more problems in snaps and bigger yardage losses than in the gun than you're underneath.
Damn right.
But guys refuse to go underneath. So you watch
guys take victory formation snaps out of those gun.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's a skill. Can they all do it? We played Rampo a couple of years ago, and they had a center, and he broke his hand. And the kid played against us a couple of weeks later and played flawlessly, snapping the ball with the other hand. So that Coach Gibbs made sure his kids could snap both hands, and or another kid had to go to center. And I'm sure they were capable of doing that too. I
mean, I've seen people now like that. I just came across it the other day. Guys are doing two-handed snaps.
It's nothing. More and more guys are doing it. It's more control over the ball. Next thing you're going to start seeing, and it's coming back. You're going to start, and I think you alluded to the guy the other day, the Hanover Park. John Liberato. John will directional snap.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have two quarterbacks back there. He'll directional snap.
Oh, that's what we played against in the championship.
Summit, right, Dave? Summit.
Two quarterbacks. It wasn't until the next year I watched him from head on that I realized that it was tipped off.
Yeah.
But the first year when we actually played them in the state championship, we tried all these different angles to figure out what was going on. We thought they split the center. The next year, I happened to be at a game at they were playing Hillside because we thought we might play them again. And I was right. They were coming into the end zone. They were at like the 5-yard line. And I turned to Farina and I said, son of a bitch. They tip it off. And so, like, there's one guy slid a little bit more one way or the other. But
John jumped into the single wing.
Directly in front of it, 10 yards away. You literally would have to be 10 yards away directly in front of it to see it. So no film would have gave it to you. No, not even an overhead, right? But but I happened to be right. They were actually coming in for a score, and they were right in front of me, and I actually saw it, and I was like, unbelievable. But yeah, that offense was so difficult. He had very, very few plays, and it was brilliant. It was a brilliant offense. You didn't know who was going to carry the ball. You didn't know who was going to hand off the ball. You kind of had an idea that the running back type guy was not going to do as much handing off as the quarterback type guy. But, the
advantage of the shotgun is you can – my guys a couple of years ago, I had the Dornheim brothers, and Vin was playing for us. And Vin did a whole study on it. He says, you can do more out of the gun, coach. You can just do more things out of the gun. You can. You can do more things out of the gun in terms of distributing the ball. He said, so, that's something you have to consider in what you're doing. And the next thing is being underneath center, like the shotgun, is nothing more than a formation. I don't know why everybody gets crazy about it. It's a fundamental skill of the game of football. Well, we're a gun team. I don't even know what that means. Maybe I'm too old to understand that. I don't know, but I know right now and our quarterback's pretty good. When he catches a snap, we're down 5 yards. That's fact. We're down 4 yards. We're down 4 yards as soon as the ball gets snapped.
And I was a big my coach is a big or was a big like pistol guy, right? Like because you can get downhills, like whatever this angles, all that other kind of thing. Like to me, look, we were either under center or we were in gun, right? And it was just this is where you're at, your rollout, you're setting up inside leg of the tackle. A lot of times because at Butler, you had quarterbacks that were usually undersized, and we had issues if we were just, the gun allowed our smaller guys to kind of get out there on the edge to be able to see things because, never really had a guy over 6 foot.
Look at it this way, because when we get into that world, there's a lot of tall guys that look at the wrong thing.
100%.
The kids really know what they're looking at. So, sprint out. And it kind of brings you to the next question. Like, again, what is option? And I've said it before. Every offense has option in it. If you're running sprint out, you're running the option.
Correct.
Right? If you're running a read on a 9 technique, where you're running just a curl flat, that's the option. All right? It's where it's what you're investing in, not what you're emphasizing, what you're investing in. So, anytime you're running some kind of, dime beater, two beater, where you're trying to beat the safety. You're high lowing them, you're left righting them. That's option.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm curious your thoughts on
yeah,
when you're in gun, the
yeah,
fact that the quarterback has to catch the ball, that and this would be more in the option game too, but passing game as well. He has to take his eye off the read to catch the ball, right? So, and then get his eye back to the read. One of the discussions I had with Shane, I don't know if you know Shane. Yeah, you do know Shane because he came in many years ago. Came to one practice with us at Riverdale, but um, he said that one of the things he always thought about under center versus gun was the quarterback has to get used to the fact that in gun their eyes come off the read and then they have to get their eyes back on it, and that's lost time, quote unquote. So there are guys that are phenomenal with it, obviously, and it can be trained. But you always, no matter what happens, and you probably see at the NFL, a lot of these guys now they don't really even look at the ball coming into their hands. They kind of obviously the NFL centers are so good at getting the ball to the exact spot. They just know it's going to come the exact spot, so they don't have to take their eye off any kind of reads. But obviously in high school, that's more of an issue per se.
so
I'm
you're
curious your thoughts
asking me,
on that.
well, I mean, you can't see what you're not looking at.
Right.
Let's start with that little premise, right?
Mhm.
The second thing is, you can't have a conversation with a human being when they're looking at a computer. I mean, that's the end of that date, right? I mean, so she wants to look at her phone, and you're supposed to be talking to you, so you just leave her with the check, right? I mean, is that what you're supposed to do? I mean, she won't even know you're gone. All right. So my point is this. All right. Defenses need to move more. All right. You got a couple of choices on defense, right? You can move more and get to the same thing, or you can line up the same way and get to different things, spinning safeties, doing whatever. I think delayed blitzes are getting more and more legs now. I mean, like that kid's is a read blitz, right? I mean, I don't want to call him a spy on the quarterback, but without question, just all you have to do is ask a guy to play the inside linebacker. Would you rather go against the option in the gun, or would you rather go against the option underneath? And every guy will say, put him in a gun.
Yeah,
Because when he's underneath, everything's in his crotch.
Yep.
All right. And so again, it's one half dozen the other of what you're trying to do. So I said it before, like if you go to the next clip, and again, this is run stuff, right? I mean, that was the idea of the clinic. So, next play will be fine. He's probably running inverted veer. Okay, hold it right here. Okay, so we got some pretty good guys. I mean, this is a good team. This is a team that beat Old Japan in the final. And we're just starting to come along here. Like, we got guys. I mean, you got kid that started for 3 years at Tufts, kid started 3 years at Muhlenberg, he should have played in college. You got that cat, who he is, right? So
oh yeah,
that's Estevez, I mean, so like we have guys, but we're not overwhelming up front, but we don't stink. My point is, all right, so what's easier for David to read, the front side or the back side? So this is inverted veer. All right, so here he goes. He gets a snap. He's going to drag the ride. Easy read. And if you go to the next, go to the next play, it's fine. Doesn't matter what the play is. All right. I can tell right away whether he's reading or not. Okay. That's a trap. I guarantee that's a trap. And he made it run back. I guarantee it's a trap. And he made it look like a read because he can't. We did get to run his senior year running trap read too. Let's go to the next clip.
So let it run. All
right there. Okay. Hold on. Just leave it right here. It's fine. This is a different quarterback. This is Ryan Purcell. So he's playing in this game too. And he is an outstanding underneath triple option guy. So we're trying to run inside veer out of the gun. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Doesn't work. All right. Hold it up. Just pause it. All right. You're better off running inside zone. If footwork doesn't work as well, it's too slow. Linebackers can recover. They can get dirty on dive and then go play next. All right. But he's pretty good at what he does. So watch this. This is going to be full triple. The kid he's going to pitch the ball to went to the United States Navy out of high school. That'll be nice. Play. All right. That's Justin Park. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. He hits the alley there. This is David. This is David. So right off the bat with this, you can tell he's running midline. He's playing it downhill. He's catching downhill. And I can tell
Well, I
right
think
away.
talk about the importance of that too. Catching
Playing downhill.
Yeah, moving downhill.
Oh God.
Yeah.
If I was going to run inside zone in the gun and I was going to teach it, or outside zone, I'd get rid of the quarterback. I'd take the back and just snap it to him and say, okay, learn how to play football. Because, I said it last week. Everybody's like, okay, read this with the offensive line and double team. Look at the defense. That'll tell you where you're going to run. All right. The quarterback kind of gets in the way with the read. Like when you just go to quarterback gives and empties and stuff like that, the inside zone game is pretty good, to be honest. All right. Once you get the quarterback involved, he becomes a problem. But, you coach with Jim Davidson, slow to, fast through, that kind of thing.
Yep.
You got to be more patient in the zone game. Dave Albano, who I think is a really good offensive mind.
Randolph now.
Yeah, he'll run outside zone to the bejesus because he says, Coach, you can hit anywhere. He just can hit anywhere. So it's like, oh, what was that? Well, that was outside zone. It cut back all the way, and he'll run it out of the pistol. So again, I think it's where you're emphasizing what you're doing. See, David's dragging a read here, so it's going to first thing he's going to see Cloudy, whether we blocked it or not, is going to make his decision. Right, and that's Nick Sirico's tucking in. It's not really a good read.
I think you could have kept that one. Yeah.
He should have kept that one.
Yeah.
Which, as you watch this, go ahead. Which I guarantee he ain't giving it to him again, because he's getting a post snap read, and I think that's a really big. This is definitely midline because he's running downhill. If you're playing us and he's running downhill, it's something off midline. I'm killing David in this because he's not playing. Like he's just quitting on the play. But right now he's post snap reading a swoop, run it back. I bet you we're running trap the other way. That's my guess. And he just knows he can sneak out the backside. You got to go back. Yeah. Yep, we ran trap. So he reads the front side trap. So we pulled from the right side, and he read the edge player.
I found was interesting about David when he ran option was he would give and look like he really wasn't going to be involved in the play, or even when he pulled, and he would just take a few, and then when he saw it was there, he had a different. It was a change of pace. That's what he did great. David used change of pace. I don't know if it was just how he was. You know what I mean? But he used change of pace of his own explosiveness. Like,
well, here's my point with him. I mean, for us, we teach post snap read, not like everybody else does. Post snap is not after the ball snap. Post snap's after the play's done. All right. So our thought is, hey, what did you miss? So when we run a play, I don't even look at the play. I look at defense. So I'm just looking who's making a tackle. I don't even look at the play. We made the call. Like, what am I going to do? I mean, I know who made the tackle, tells me what's next. That's it. Most defenses are flow defenses, right?
Right.
It should be. If they're any good.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So here we go. He's going to pull it. This is Ryan Purcell, graduate of Penn State Business Program. It's pretty good, right?
It's a hell of a job on the pitch.
Well, now, and he used to, let's pause it. He used to drive me crazy because he could run it so well. He would stand next to me on the sideline because he was between Connolly and Estevez in terms of age. And Connolly wouldn't read it and just make a play. And Ryan would be standing behind me going, oh, that's a give. I know it's a give. And then he would say, he'd say, pull pitch. I would say, I know it's pull pitch. He says, I'm just saying. All right. So then he'd get in the game. He'd break one for like 55. And he was slower than mud. And he would say, I'd say, man, I couldn't believe he broke. He said, game speed. Right. He was never wrong. Patty McPartland was very similar. All right. But this is Ryan. This is Jack Racine, a sophomore playing quarterback here. All right. And so he's underneath, and this is near the end of the game. because we try to have 3 quarterbacks per class. Now he should have run that back. He should have post snapped that and known, hey man, I got pitch. The defense isn't going to change that much. Like you watch right here. Because the pitch man is Sean Burke. He's in medical school.
Oh, yeah.
He's in medical school right now, 38. Right, and that kind of takes you through it.
That does.
You know, yeah, so if you kind of ask me some questions on it, you know, the evolution and everything, I think guys see things downfield now. And that's fine. That's fine. But where it started was on the line of scrimmage. And why don't more guys run it? As I said, Ethan Jaros's team runs it as well as anybody I've seen. Obviously, Brian Gallagher's running it very well at Knowles. But those are the guys you really want to talk about. Why the reason they've stayed in what they did was not to be different, but to be different because it's effective. And you really can't practice against it. You know, I mean, they just have so many reps at it, and they're good. And, you know, if they have a kid that's a good college player, he's a good college player. I mean, how many guys in the pros are playing quarterback that were wing T guys? If you're a good player, you're a good player.
Point Burrow down here does a really great job of running what they run, their kind of system.
I've watched them, and I think they do good things. Mendham's in a whole different stratosphere.
I got
to I mean, Coach, you've mentioned them a bunch of times. That head coach, where did he come from to put that in? Like, is that something he brought from somewhere else?
He was a college route guy, and he had Coach Morgenroth on the staff, and there's another fella. I haven't met these guys in terms of knowing them, and I would feel bad about that. Actually, Mike Judge Sr.'s dad, I think, helped.
He was on Don Morgenroth's staff.
Don was with him, but the guy running the offense now is not Don, because Don's son is having a really, really nice career up at Susquehanna as a receiver. So he goes up and watches them, and they're in the Final 8. So
yeah, they've been excellent the last couple of years.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, those guys are they're pretty special. So, you know, the question becomes like, hey, do you want to do that? Everybody puts their little taint on whatever they do. And I guess it depends on your personnel. For me, it's often not the personnel we have. It's but who's the next guy. Like, what happens if we don't have this guy?
Right.
You know? So, you know,
now we're going to spend all this time inserting this or installing it, and then it's going to get thrown out the window.
Well, my point is that so if you're in a shotgun and you're running a lot of read stuff, I would recommend that highly, because, and David has done it, your running backs can take all your quarterback reps. They can learn those reads. There's only
Dave, how often did you do that? Like, we did that, right? Like, beginning of practice, there would be 5 guys taking snaps, and maybe 2 of them were quarterbacks, you know?
Yeah, we had 7 in the morning on Monday, and because we follow all the rules. All right. See, I'm going to tell you how you get into this whole thing, because we got to have an entertainment value in here. All right. So the first part of the entertainment value is we read the NJSIA handbook, and I'll show you my imitation of understanding that. You take the book out, and then you turn it upside down. All right. And that should give you a pretty good idea on what you're supposed to be reading, right? Then you get on your bicycle and you ride down the street, and you look at any school that's in your neighborhood that may be doing things that don't look like it, even when you turn it upside down or sideways. That doesn't look like the rules I read. All right. And you decide what you can or you can't do. All right. Then you go down to the train station. All right. And you realize that you can make more money as an Uber driver bringing kids to schools than teaching. All right. But as I digress. All right. So my point is, we had 7 the other day, and we actually did use basketballs. All right. Just because I don't want them to get into that yet. And it wasn't even any kind of ride stuff, but you can do all your ride stuff with basketballs. We had 10 today. All right. Because they start inviting up kids from, I don't know where these kids came from. I never saw these kids in my life. You know, these kids that came in, but you can get a lot of kids that can do this. So when you're in a fix, you can do that. Now you put your hands under center. That's quite a skill of taking a snap. All right. Yes. So I understand why guys do that, because You can run out of quarterbacks. Now, Springfield as their second quarterback. I don't think anybody's a backup at Springfield playing quarterback now because their top quarterback. I don't want any guy to hear this think it's wrong. Coach Sursol will get mad at me, but he got hurt. But the kid who got hurt, they moved him from running back a couple of years before that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can practice it. I saw your dad coaching the shot put, right? He can make a sprinter a shot putter because you take your fastest sprinter and make him your shot putter because your fastest thrower is usually your best thrower and your strongest sprinter is often your best sprinter. All right. So, a really good sprint, a really
mathematical formula, because all explosion is a mathematical formula. It's speed by force, right? So the more speed you have counteracts maybe if you have a little less girth to you. So there's I always tell the story when I went to the nationals in high school in the pentathlon.
Right.
I was the second best guy in the county, but the best guy in the county was Darius Pemberton.
Okay.
I weighed 215 pounds. Darius Pemberton weighed about $165. So we go and we're there, and he was a little bit better. He was a great hurdler. Obviously, he was a little better hurdler than I was. But the funny part was we get to the shot put. I'm thinking, well, you know what? Like, he jumps a little farther than I do, obviously, and but I'm pretty good at all those things. But the shot put, I'm going to outthrow him in the shot put.
Right.
Well, he goes, and I threw the shot, I think 46 or 45 feet, something like that. He goes and throws 48 feet, 165 pounds. And my father, I couldn't understand it. You know what I mean? I was just nothing that I could understand. My father said that to me, pulled me aside. He said, the most important thing in the circle is how fast you move through the circle.
Right.
That's the most important thing. So it's interesting because as quick as I was, that dude was like, I mean, the guy was NCAA champ in high hurdles indoors, and I think one time the long jump. So, and Derek, to give you a kind of idea how good this guy was athletically.
I mean, he was the kid's not as good as the kids today, of course, right?
He played 1 year of football for Greg Toll, 1 year, because he was the best track athlete in the nation, literally.
How he was.
They thought at the time that he
Hackensack?
Oh yeah.
Right. He played 1 year at Hackensack for Toll. Toll said, people are like, well, how good a football player is he? He's not that, he wasn't super tough, all that kind. He says he's the greatest defensive back he ever saw, period. And he only played 1 year for him, and he probably didn't tackle that many people, is my guess. So the fact that's how athletic he was. He was a 50-foot triple jumper in high school, 25-foot long jumper, high hurdles in 13s. Could do anything, by the way.
Yes.
And I was lucky enough to be. This is way off track, but I was lucky enough to be on the 4x400 relay when I was in eighth grade in junior track with me, Darius Pemberton, who was in 7th grade at the time, Anthony Hampton, who was in 6th grade at the time, but we were at 14. But Anthony Hampton was probably 14, even though he was in 6th grade. And a guy by the name of Jeff Ware, who didn't end up being the guy they thought he was going to be, but he ran the half in 8th grade in 2:02. And it was funny because Darius Pemberton led off. He would tough it out because he didn't work that hard back then. He would tough it out. He'd blast like 56, 57. Anthony Hampton would run second and would go and run. It's in 6th grade, mind you, probably around like 54, 55, probably something like that, 54, 55. He ended up being he probably still is considered the greatest intermediate hurdler in history in New Jersey. And then Jeff Ware, who was really the best, would blast like a 52, 53 quarter in 8th grade. And then I would get it. And my job was to not fuck up the lead I had. That was my job.
That's right.
Because I ran like a 55 in 8th grade, which was very good. But these guys were great. And my job would be, when you heard their anchor legs, feet coming to get you, you just had to tough it out and finish. And that's what I did. That's what the guy, and that's why Englewood brought me over to run the anchor leg for them for that lone reason alone, because they said the guy's a football player, he ain't letting anybody pass him. So, but those guys were so talented. The leads I would get, DJ, were so big. You know,
had arguably, I mean, because this young fella from Demers is something. I mean, he's really good. The jumper, and he is something. And obviously the kid from Indian Hills a few years back was some jumper. I saw Anthony. I got a picture, which I think I might have given to Jim Kurz, or took a picture of it. Anthony Hampton coming around a turn and passing Jim in a relay meet, because Jim was a 97 grad. So Anthony was 3 years older than him, because that's the space between you and Jim is 5 years, because you graduated in 92. Jim graduated.
Right. Yep. That's correct.
So
right.
Yep.
He's running at Englewood, and it could be a county group meet, sectional meet, whatever. And Anthony's going by him, and Jim was good. I mean, Jim was a 158 half miler before he got out, and Anthony Hampton looks like a 747 going by him. And I saw Anthony Hampton run 52 low in the intermediates, and it was like you and I walking from here to the door.
He was so natural.
And then he went and played football at Tennessee, and it didn't work out. And I was like, geez, this was it. Remember, he was supposed to be the next Edwin Moses.
Yes, I don't know what. Well, those guys, Coach Williams, and who's the original sprint coach there?
Terry Amos.
Terry Amos. Those guys were so upset that he went, and he could have went anywhere he wanted for football. I mean, he was Derek. He was legit 6'5", 210 pounds, but looked like he could pack on 50.
Another 20. Yeah.
He was so.
He had that frame, right? Like that. Those broad shoulders.
He was LeBron James before there was LeBron James.
He could just generate power, just like ridiculous, right?
But he was the greatest.
He went to a lot of speed coaches, right?
Even Edwin Moses. You're right.
He went to a lot of speed coaches and personal trainers, right?
None. Zero.
Listen, it's like you watch the documentaries on like Herschel Walker, right? And just how much, or like who was the other guy that we had talked about at one time from Oklahoma, Dupree?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Dupree. Yeah,
like those guys that were just those freaks of guys don't understand that. Like
race and train. That's what Herschel Walker did. You want to get fast? It's simple. Herschel Walker. I watched the 30 for 30. It was
push-ups.
Well, no, people try to make speed into this thing, okay?
Yeah,
and obviously, I had the speed training business and everything like that. And I would try to drive this home to parents, but parents would be like, "Oh, I'll just pay you for this." But I'm like, "You want to get fast? You want to get fast?" What Herschel Walker did was he went to the train tracks. He raced the train.
Yeah, like just run.
You're gonna get fast if you race the train, right? Because why are you gonna get fast if you race the train? Well, if you're running as fast as you can, 80, 100 yards. Okay, and you're not going to beat the train, or you try to give yourself a head start. Train's coming. Let me see if I can beat it to that pole over there.
Not on the tracks, guys. To the side of it now, because this generation we really got to
not on the track.
We really got to snuff things out with this group of kids.
That depends on the year that you're coaching.
Right.
It depends on the year you're coaching at Riverdale. So sometimes you can do the take a charge on the train drill. I thought that was a great drill for myself.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, Coach, you've been to Butler. They've since moved the field, and now the practice field is the game field. But when we played, that hill that was there along we would run that consistently all the time. And I'm not talking just like sprint up, right? Like we would go down, run down, because like if you ain't running fast, running down a hill, buddy, like here we go. So you learn to run. I mean, even as kids, that was a thing, so I've always been a big proponent of like the hill stuff, like, kind of the Walter Payton type thing where, LaDainian Tomlinson bought a house in San Diego too, with a hill in the back to kind of run it and whatnot. And, I just think that was always something that was big too. It's just like, you don't need to, these Parisi and all that stuff got really, really big, like when I was in high school. Like I feel like that's when the speed training thing kind of like more so exploded onto it. And I always tell Dave, like I didn't have that track background, right? Like it wasn't really a big thing at Butler, even though, in 94 they had a 4x1 team that was ridiculous. But
unbelievable team.
Yeah, I mean, and look, and they were the 4 wide receivers. So, I mean, but we just didn't. That just kind of wasn't a thing. I really do wish I had done more track stuff, going through the process, especially as a guy that was never looked at as fast?
Well, I think there's a few things here, kind of because you're probably getting the end here. And for you guys, if you're looking at trends in football, we have a dearth of officials, right? We don't have a lot of officials. So the people that are coming into officiating, thankfully they're coming in. And I think they're trying real hard, but of course, again, back to the state manual, right? We don't have enough.
Turn it upside down.
Yeah, we don't have enough officials. Okay, let's have more on each crew for every game. Okay, so we've gone that route. All right, so now we have more people that are struggling, and they really do try, and I respect the heck out of what they're doing. But you notice the rules of the game of high school are becoming more like the pros because people get to see TV. So these people want to officiate, who really want to officiate, they can get more reps watching, right? And they got the thing that we're using right now, which is the computer. And that's a really positive thing. What's legal motion? What's not legal motion? You got all kinds of stuff going on there. I think the only way to solve it is to make it one rule. If you're not offsides, you can move all you want. I think it's going to go to Canadian route. I do. And because they want more scoring and everything, but defenses always catch up, right? But that's one. The second thing is, the question always becomes, is you're scrubbing your personnel, who's your trigger? And as you guys look at this, or anybody who watched this, well, why would you want to be underneath? That's outdated. Army's 11-1. Now, by the way, that guy,
really?
that guy's carried the ball so many times, so it's not not all true option, but
even the quarterback, yeah.
And watching Navy now,
you'll be able to watch a great one like Army Navy's this weekend. You want to watch football like that way? Watch that game.
Well, they're also running a lot more wing T hybrid stuff.
They are in a gun more too than they used to.
And we're gonna have that, Dave, next week. Sadlock, Coach Sadlock is gonna come on and break down belly and whatnot for us. So,
and I think obviously, Air Force had the extra year guys last year, and this year they didn't. So, but Coach Calhoun has always been willing to go a little bit outside of that stuff.
Right.
You look over at the Merchant Marine Academy, and you see Jameson Kroll, who's a Springfield grad, running up-tempo triple and being very successful. And then you go to the Coast Guard Academy, and J.B. Wells is running the offense there, and they're spinning it all over the place. And if you go watch Mark West coach the sprint team at Army, they're not running the triple. All right. So, there's so many different ways essentially to get this thing done. And I think your quarterback choice has to go beyond the guy. It's got to be like, what are the moving parts? Like, okay, you want to run a triple. We think we're always going to have guys who run triple. All right. Because we just don't have those guys. And the problem becomes, do you have the fullback? Now, people say you got to have the bruising fullback. Not necessarily. You got a kid that can get off the mark, all right? And he's got to get good at doing it. You're probably going to have a couple of them. Can every kid, you asked a great question, David. You asked a fantastic question. I didn't answer it either. You like wishbone? Do you like split back veer? Do you like the flex bone with the running start? Well, part of the flex bone with the running start is then you don't have to be that fast to get to the perimeter, right? Because you got the running start. What we'll do in teaching the triple is we will take the fullback and put him where he normally is. And if we're going to the left, we take both halfbacks and put them in 3-point sprinter stances, turned that way when we first teach it. Because we want it to be fast. It's the quarterback's job. It's the back's job to run the track, the fullback. It's the pitch guy's job, if we're talking triple, all right, to run their path, all right? It's the quarterback's job to distribute the ball, period. That's it. That's your job. All right. And if you can't do that, then we're going to have to do a lot of things that look like options. Same with the RPOs that aren't really RPOs, which aren't really the option, where we're telling you to give, we're telling you to pitch, we're telling you to keep, we're telling you to throw the ball there. All right. In the RPO, we're telling you to give. We talk the RPOs, which really gotten missed here because they used to start. The thought was that you can run a triple in the RPOs. Back to what David said. Well, you just took your eye off the read. So now you got to calculate this stuff, catch the ball, make the read, run, pitch, which is why, Derek, so many things. What are the beautiful things? Again, I go back to them all the time. I mean, it wasn't like we hung out, but I had to watch. We played Rampo 2 times a year for a long time. And I will always have so much gratitude for Coach Gibbs for when we weren't good at Riverdale, inviting me over to watch practice when they were in the playoffs and we weren't. And
yeah,
what did he do? I mean, like, okay, so it's Reed, whoever the kid was, a quarterback, and then the kid would stand his movement and distribute on the run out wide, which was just a pitch.
Yep.
And accurately, and then we get your double options now. So you want to call them key screens. All right. That may be give or just distribute. All right.
Right.
So I think you see more double options than anything else.
Yes, you do.
It would go in this order, David. It would go distributions, like just do that. Right. Just do that. Like counter. Just do that. All right. Look at Parseghian Valley. Look at Old Japan. They run counter.
Yep.
Then they run quarterback counter. Then they run counter and they read the backside. That's a lot of offense when you start distributing the ball too. Those are all good things. But, Coach Weigel running the offense over at Parseghian Valley, Coach Dunn over at Old Japan, right? They do their own part of that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the game's gotten really cool. You see Joe running every time Joe Klaus's biggest thing is he got everybody believing he's in the odd stack all the time.
All right? Of course. It's crazy.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, sure, we're in the odd stack, right? But again, good coaches can jump into bear. Good coaches can be in the odd stack with different
multiple all over the place.
But different personnel in the same front.
Yep.
I mean, Joe's one of the best I've ever seen at that. Like, okay, this kid can 2-gap. He had a kid at Dumont when I first started coaching. He had him playing in the gap and rolling. He was a heavy.
He referenced Dumont the other day. He said he was talking about Dumont when he was there.
Again, he had a chance to be there and fail, and nobody cared. And he had a great mentor in Jimmy Davidson who helped him develop. It's hard to find those guys. So I think that's really what we're talking about here. So when everybody's mind spins, and I know David talks about his son as a football player. Who do you want to have the ball in the hands of?
Yep.
A guy that can make great plays. Is that better than a guy that can distribute? The answer to both is yes.
Yeah, everything depends, right, on what
100%.
What your personnel is around them too, right? Like who do you have? I always say, like, if you're gonna have a dual threat quarterback, okay, I get in this argument all because UConn has this dilemma. Okay, they have a quarterback that's a distributor throw. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then they have a quarterback that's quote unquote dual threat. And we have on this pot, UConn's had a lot of good running backs under the Edsel era. So we've had it on Todman, a few of the guys all were in the pros. And I said my very fundamental question to the head coach is, when you're choosing a quarterback, if between a dual threat and the drop back, my question is on the dual threat. Is the dual threat a better runner than if you hand the ball to your running back or throw it to your receiver? If the answer is no, then you're better off with the guy who could throw the ball. Now, if you asked me this 20 years ago, because I've always been an option, I love option. But what I kind of, one of the things I've seen with so many different teams is they try to force the dual threat. You know what I mean? They try to force it. And now you got a guy carrying the ball 8-10 times, even if it's 8-10 times, who is not as good as the guy if you turned around and handed it to him. And that guy could get you, if you gave him 8 to 10 more carries, or his backup even, 8, you're giving this guy 15 and the backup's getting 8 to 10, and he's better than the dual threat that you're giving the ball to, you're going to lose the game if you're giving that dual threat the ball more. So one of the things that I think that you're seeing, because defenses, you're right, like you see at the college level, these guys are like Joe Klaus. They show up in this type of defense, and then they're playing multiple stuff, right? And you got a dual threat guy running around who isn't that good of a runner. It's not that he's a bad runner. He's just not as good as the guy you can hand it to or throw it to. Yeah. And that's an important thing for the head coaches to make decisions on when you make that decision. Now, Johnny Manziel walks in the room. Jalen Milroe walks in the room. Obviously, that's a different thing. Those guys are better runners than the guys you might give the ball to. So it's an important decision. It's one of the things that it's funny because you say that, because I listen to, and you're a basketball guy. My son plays basketball, and I get into this discussion with guys, and they're like, well, your son can score. Should we move him to the 2? I said, he's the best distributor of the ball. Like in his head, he was like you as a point guard, even though he could score.
Yeah.
In his head, he brings the ball up the court. He's trying to get the open guy the ball. So my question is this: should we teach the guys who are pretty good players to be able to keep getting better at scoring because we have a gigantic center? Try to get him the ball, or do we try to figure out a way to have a worse guy at point guard? Try to get the ball to my son or other guys. When the truth is, what's going to happen is it's going to get stolen a lot more, and the other team's going to get a lot more opportunities. So I think about it like this. If you have a guy that can distribute the ball very effectively and the other guys can do things with it, then that's awesome. That makes, honestly, as a coach, it probably gives you the ability to do almost whatever you want in the game. Now, when you get a dual threat who could do anything, okay, who could run the ball and throw really well, that's the holy grail. Like, I mean, when you get Estevez, you're thinking in your head, try to keep it simple, right? Because Estevez you're not trying to open up the playbook too much because you don't want Estevez to have to go and do all kinds of things when bottom line is he can take off and run, right? When you need to.
Well, I think this. All right, a few things. Basketball, one of the things that makes basketball, should I say the word soccer or lacrosse,
yep,
if I should say those words, is the guy who has the ball needs to get the ball to the open man as fast as possible so he can get it back.
Correct.
Because people run away from the ball, run away from the passer. All right. The second thing is the dual threat quarterback. I had written it down here. Here's what you're going to have to live with the dual threat quarterback who really thinks he's a dual threat. Turnovers, negative plays. All right. So are you cool with 2nd and 6, or are you living for 1st and 10 after a 20-yard gain? Now, what people are saying now is let's get the explosives. All right.
Right.
I understand that. But as a coach, you got to pump the brakes because you're really not in charge of the explosives. The guys you get the ball to do the explosive things.
That's it.
And if you get, especially in high school, just get it to them. And the best way to do that is directly snap. But here's a thought. So we're at practice one day, and this is another reason I hated Estevez, right? Because he'd always just he was like Captain Obvious, right? He's like, look, you ever think of getting a running back to play quarterback and have him learn how to read it? I said, why? He says, well, make me the offset back, and then when I get it on the ride, on any kind of horizontal ride, then I can run sprint out.
You're seeing that a little bit now, by the way.
We were showing it. So of course, and that's a directional snap with Coach Liberato too. But we did it one day in practice, and of course, he threw like a 60-yard dime on a run, right? And he says, do it again. He tells the kid, he throws throwback screen to the quarterback. So he says, you keep working on this, man. I was thinking, that's really like a good idea. So I was like, oh yeah, good guys. But, getting guys that can do a multiplicity of things and never saying a kid can't do something, because you wouldn't do that up front. You wouldn't accept that a kid up front couldn't trap. You wouldn't accept that a kid up front couldn't run power. And most importantly, when you're doing those things, the kids away from the concept can't do their job. So in other words, as you know, David, when you're on power, the most important thing is, can you put air in the gap for that guy to pull through? Those guys are so important, Can they put air in the gap?
It's another interesting thing too. Like, and it's crazy that I bring in some of the youth stuff, but we use 3 quarterbacks because we have 3 kids that can play quarterback. One of them's our running back. The other one can play receiver, and so can my son if need be, play those positions. But we use 3 quarterbacks. Everyone, if you watch any youth football game and you ask any youth football coach, basically, it's usually obviously a dad, and you ask them how many guys are going to play quarterback for their team. You know what the answer they're going to give you?
My son,
and it's 1. And I always say, what happens if that kid gets hurt? Well, we'll figure it out. What do you mean? I already figured it out. I have 3 of them playing right now. And if someone has a bad day, 9 years old, obviously they have bad days. If someone's having a bad day, they woke up, whatever they didn't have their milk, whatever the issue is, right? You have 2 other guys that can do the job, okay? And it's interesting, and I learned that from you and using all the quarterbacks, and I really learned it when we were playing a game, and Adiami De Silva, who went to Villanova, was my quarterback. And he goes, we're playing a team, I don't know, he threw a pass, we score like the first play, and then they hit him late, and he comes out of the game. You get the ball back. Taj Huggins, who played at Montclair State, Taj Huggins was our running back, but he had played quarterback 2 years earlier when we had like some sort of issue, and we always play him a quarterback. Just like I always play him a quarterback in practice. He never went to a running back, individual period ever in all his years. He doesn't even know what that was, but he was our tailback. He goes out. Adiami De Silva goes out. Taj Huggins comes in the quarterback. We run zone read, and Taj, there's no way Taj is giving it. There's no pitching. He's just taking it and running it. Because he did that when he was a sophomore and he had to play quarterback. He's just running it. So he takes it. He shows the read, pulls and runs, goes 60 yards for a touchdown. All of a sudden, Adiami Silva is standing next to me. I said, aren't you hurt? He goes, there is no fucking way. And he cursed. He said, there's no fucking way Taj Huggins is taking my job. That's what he said to me. He said, I'm going back in. I said, okay, no problem. But it was so interesting because if you didn't use all those guys at quarterback, you would be like, oh my goodness, who do we put in here now? My sophomore who plays JV? No. Another kid who plays quarterback is actually the running back.
Yeah, I think your offense, your scheme has to be based on disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be based on disaster, and it's got to be something you can rep up. And you may want to say control it, but I'd rather not control them with things. And we were fortunate this year that RJ came in and played against the lesser part of our schedule. I'm not knocking those guys if they listen to it, but they weren't the best teams on our schedule. And RJ came in and was successful for 3 games as a quarterback. I would like to have, our quarterbacks on you and playing, but we didn't. But you have to be constantly prepared for that. And I do enjoy the imagination of the game, but it's generally, I don't see a big difference on the pro level. The big time college level looks like the same.
Right.
Division III has, they got 2 teams of the final 8 that are running the option, and everybody has their different spin on it, and it's just that I would like to see. I think you can win doing almost anything, right? And can that quarterback make those passes in the RPO? You can say they can practice it, yes, all right, but I think we need to know where all this started, and I think that's just so important. It's just so important. So, the long story longer, we start every off season underneath the center.
I love it.
Always underneath the center. And I've told you that. A lot of that's because of quarterback's footwork. He's so lazy in the gun. But, I think it's more violent. Now, again, look, I'm a center. Like, we're in a gun, right? So, but we're underneath too. People say you're trying to do a lot of different things. Not really.
No.
Well, think about it like I think about it like this, okay? It's easier to start there and move backwards, right?
I agree.
It's the same way as if you're a baseball player in the outfield. It's the opposite direction, but is it easier to come in and make a play on the ball, or is it easier for you to go backwards and make a play on the ball, right? So it's easier to come in. In football, from a quarterback position, it's easier to start underneath and then go backwards. You could always come back down. Right. You could always come back downhill, right? Okay, if you need to. But it's very hard if you start backwards, right, in the gun, and then try to come forward. Well, that's hard.
You know this, David. Your dad's a heck of a hurdle coach. Mike Urso is a really good hurdle coach. I guess I was solid at it, but
yeah, you're good.
Does anybody teach the kids the intermediate hurdle before they high hurdle? When was the last time you did an intermediate hurdle drill before you did high hurdle drill?
No one.
No one does, right? So you teach them how to hurdle, but But
when they do try to do that, by the way,
yeah,
it's very difficult.
yeah.
That's when you like when I would see a race, there were guys that were kind of sometimes they take a guy that really just thought they could put him in the intermediates, just kind of teach him some, because he could run that a quarter or something. That works, but they're nowhere near as good at hurdlers. So when you go against those guys
Right.
or girls in that, look, the most important thing in the intermediate hurdles is how fast you run the 400, obviously. But then there's then if you can't hurdle, that's out, or you're scared of hurdles, you're not going to be very good at the intermediate hurdles. And the only thing that's different to me always was the difference between the intermediate hurdles and the 400 was pain. No matter whether I went out slow or I went out fast, however I ran that damn race, there was always pain. In the 400, if I went out too hard, I would feel pain, because I ran the race wrong. But if I ran the race right in the 400, I'd be in pain at the end. But the intermediate hurdles, no matter how you ran it, you were in pain.
It's interesting.
Fast, you go slow, you're in pain.
Yeah, it's interesting because my best intermediate hurdles that I coached were always half-mile drop down.
Yes,
I thought it was the same cadence, the same stride pattern. But again, I think that when we watch, and again, I didn't know this fella, but I guess he was making quite an investment in the game himself. But this young fella just passed away in the automobile accident. The kid from Hudson.
Lamar.
Yeah. I don't know. I know this is just tragic, but those guys you do want to sit down with and think about how they're coaching quarterbacks and who's your underneath quarterback coach now. So I think again, listen to your elders doesn't hurt. But I think guys are starting to figure out a little bit like, okay, so we're running RPOs, right? What are we doing in running like old school option underneath? Now, some guys will say the quarterback's job is to get to the next snap, don't get hurt. All right. But what is it guys are doing? It's a little bit different in the run game with option concepts. And people have been incredibly successful doing it. Because one of the things is, your TOP, your time of possession, right? Your greatest defense is your offense.
Yep.
Well, so can you control the football? And those triple option offenses, whether it's triple in the gun or triple underneath, I'm talking about running the football. They have a lot of gash plays. They get a lot of big plays.
Right, because you're creating those lanes, and then. Yes. And to me, even more so in a high school, again, coach, and you mentioned it earlier, to have to practice against that, right? Or ask your scout team to do that, right? That's why you usually see that's the week where, the youngest guy in your staff goes and plays scout team quarterback or whatever, like that, those to mimic that. And then to ultimately, people think it's easy when you're like, oh, it's responsibility football, right? Like, hey, you have dive, you have pitch, but for guys on the defensive side of the ball, high school kids to consistently do that over and over and over, it's a tougher task than most think.
Well, again, look at the weather around the nation, right? So now Mountain Union's coming to play Salisbury, and the weather's not so great in Ohio. Is Salisbury coach calling up Mountain Union today saying, "Hey, it's raining out there, isn't it?" Click. Like, what are you doing, bro? North Central's got to play Springfield. They're kind of a different body, but
just look at the Springfield was playing that game against Cortland in a half a blizzard.
Well, good. Cortland's never gonna have the ball.
Yep.
Susquehanna just, again, they're a ball control team in the gun. Susquehanna ran 85 plays in the game.
Play really good defense.
And they played St. John's of Minnesota, which is, known
phenomenal program.
They ran 59. Game's over. And and they still barely won the game.
Right.
So, those are cool things. This is a real cool topic. I hope you're able to edit it up a little bit in bits.
Yeah, I will.
But
I will. I'll make sure we have the gaps of where we just sat there and looked at the screen for.
Well, we can also put us together how not to do technology in a podcast.
Well, listen, this is also we're trying to
clip.
Yeah,
but think about it, Dave. We're trying to figure this out on both ends of it, and kind of what's going to work, and how we should approach it and whatnot. So, all of this little stuff, this all just helps in general too. You know what I mean?
DJ, what we'll do is we'll clip it all up, the good stuff, and then we'll also clip up the bad thing, and I'll title it I title it "How Not to Use Technology," and the only video that we do that goes viral will be that one.
Yeah,
100%.
And it'll be like no talking. We're just staring.
Just staring at it, and that's the one. That's the one that 1 million people will watch. We're teaching. You're teaching the triple option, and that'll get us 500, 1,000 views. And then the one where we screwed everything up, that will get us the 1 million views.
Yeah. All right. Look, have a great day.
Coach, appreciate you.
See you, man.
All right. Bye.
All right.